Hey guys, it's Jill. It's Monday morning, the 21st of July, and I am confused today and I'm struggling a little bit, and I was hoping maybe you guys could help me because, man, the stuff that's been going on lately is just wild to me. 2 weeks ago, I was dropping off some things to the like a housing development, right? I know some people who live down there, and I was moving and I had some things to share, so I stopped, and this little girl said to me, she said, "Miss Jill, come to the playground with me. I need to meet my friend." Well, okay, Miss Jill doesn't turn down a chance to go to the playground, right? So now I'm in this housing development and we're on the teeter totters and we're talking, and I met her friend, and the little girl next to me on the teeter totter calls her friend the N-word. And now they're both black children. But I was like, wait, because the little girl that I'm playing with is 6 years old and she's a white child. And I was like, okay, deep breath. So I said, hey, I said, maybe that's not such a nice word. And the response was, her mom lets us say it, pointing at the friend, right? And I said, can I say it? And the little girl's eyes got big, and she didn't know what to say, and she looked at the ground. And I said, if it's not a word that everyone can say, maybe we shouldn't say it. Now, at this time, the two older girls, who were probably like 10, 11, had taken off, probably to go get an adult, right? And I left it at that, and I took my little friend and I went back over to her mom, and I really started to ponder, like, what do we teach our kids about the N-word when black culture is culturalizing it, when they're normalizing it? And I'm not really sure, because that's a very fine line, because they're hearing it, right, consistently. Probably if she's on the playground with these kids every day, this is where they live communally, okay? They live together in this small area. How do we explain to them that it's a bad, horrible word unless they're using it? And I don't even know that it's been completely culturalized, and I don't think, I don't know how to break that down, because it can't be classist, right? Because you've got wealthy people in like rappers and different cultural levels of society that are using it. I don't know. I don't know how we teach kids around that word. So today I was going to get a coffee, so I walked out of my office building and around the corner, and there was a table again on the corner, and it was covered in test strips and Narcan. And I asked the girl, I picked up the test strip, and I said, where do I get the drugs? And she said, what? And I said, where do I get the drugs? And she said, well, you have to get those yourself. And I said, okay. I said, is this going to save my life? And she was, well, it could. And I was like, so if I do the drugs, this might tell me if there's something in it that's not good for me, but the drugs probably aren't good for me. And she didn't like that. And she said, you don't have to attack me. And I said, I'm not attacking you, I'm just asking you questions. And then she told me that she was in recovery and that Narcan had saved her life. And I said, oh. And I said, but the general consensus is we just shouldn't do that, right? And she said, well, yeah. And I said, so how do we teach kids that we shouldn't be doing it when we're handing out the test strips and we're handing out the Narcan so that they can test it if they're gonna do it? My confusion, you guys, is real. Like, I need someone to explain it to me, I guess. Help me to make it make sense. Because the most confounding part of it is that, you know, I went to Auburn Housing Authority today, and I went down to Brogan, and I drove around, and I got out, and I'm walking around, and there's an Narcan box at both locations, right? But what there's not is the poster that Miss Jill dropped off last Monday, where it says, open hours for teen hangout, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, contact Miss Jill. They're not there, friends. And I don't understand. So we don't want to give the kids something to do. But yes, we want to hand out test strips on the corner. And the other thing, like, it's hard. We have to start collectively agreeing on what direction we want to walk in, because when we're all running in separate directions, no one is winning, but certainly not our kids. You know, and I'm so against them being glued to their phone all the time, but to be honest with you, if this is the lived experience reality we're giving them, maybe they're better off on their phones.